I don't know, episode number 90 or something. We've been doing it since some little virus came in and complicated the world 2.5 years ago. I see we have all our crew. So, those of you that are watching on other platforms, the way that this works is it originates in Zoom here, and you're welcome to come over to Zoom and you can stare at me and I can look at you, or you can yell at me in between songs and all that, or you can hide in the Facebook over here, or YouTube over there. You're welcome to remain anonymous. I see my friend Neil Braverman is here. Hello, Neil. Nice to see you, buddy. And so let's see, we're represented from New York City. How do you say the name of your town in California? Nippinawasi?
Nippanawasi.
Nippinawasi, California is represented tonight. New York City, Michigan, Nebraska, Roslindale, Massachusetts. Meg, do you live in Massachusetts someplace, right?
Yeah, I'm in Maynard.
Natick and Kansas. Alan DeVay is here from Kansas, and Jim Maureen from Michigan, and Detroit. Looks like Michigan gets the prize tonight. I don't know who B is down there, but wherever you're from, you're welcome. And so let me play a couple songs and just I don't know, just let's talk about love. Remember love? I know a wife and a husband. They had a shiny little kid. When that kid turned 16, you won't believe what he did. Smoked a lot of marijuana. He snorted cocaine too. Told his parents he was gonna drop out of school. The father pounded on the table. The mother hollered and she screamed. They ran him down to the doctor. Doctor, what does this mean? He put them all on Prozac. Right then, right there. He said you'll still have your problems, but now you just won't care. And he prescribed a little therapy, some supplementary drugs, but he didn't write a script out for a little more love, just a little more love. What the heck could it hurt? It might not fix nothing, at least it won't make things worse. When you're looking at your lifetime from the end, when you are done, you know it might look a little better. See a little more love. I know a wife and a husband, and they had a shiny little kid. When that kid turned 16, you won't believe what she did. She said, Mom, I'm sleeping over at Susan's. That was just a big fat lie. What she really was doing was staying up all night. And when her parents found out, they cried boo-hoo-hoo. And then they called the radio talk show. They asked him, what should we do? He said, send her off to boot camp. That was his advice. It was good for his ratings, but it wasn't very nice. Just a little more love. What the heck could it hurt? It might not fix nothing, at least it won't make things worse. When you're looking at your lifetime from the end, when you are done, you know it might look a little better. See a little more love. I can see that you're a tough guy. You won't be pushed around. You're not gonna take it. You're good at putting your foot down. You might get killed by lightning. You might get hit by a truck. But if you are not that lucky, you might just wind up spending years in a rest home without a whole lot to do. But look back on what you did with the time God gave you. Just a little more love. What the heck could it hurt? It might not fix nothing, at least it won't make things worse. When you're looking at your lifetime from the end, when you are done, you know it might look a little better. Big, rough, tough guy to see a little more love. It might look a little better.
John.
You're
Perfect.
Yeah, done.
Perfect.
In the 18, 19, 20, 30, 43, in the 43 years that we have been wed, I've wondered if you ever heard a word I said. Till I said, pass that remote control over here. And you told me to blow it out my ear. I love you, you're a sassy brat. You make me mad and you make me laugh. God, please don't cut our time in half. Let me grow old with my sassy brat. When my fans call up and say that I'm great, you tell them that that is a huge mistake. That if they had to live with me, they would understand what a big pain in the ass I am. I love you, you're a sassy brat. You make me mad and you make me laugh. God, please don't cut our time in half. Let me grow in my sassy brat. There are men that like women who they can dominate, that bring them breakfast in bed and always tell them that they're great. Well, my sassy lady never does that for me, but at least a life with her is definitely not boring. She says if you want me to believe that you're great, do a couple loads of laundry around here someday. Hey pal, it's only because you're still kinda cute that I haven't already gotten rid of you. I love you, you're a sassy brat. You make me mad and you make me laugh. God, please don't cut our time in half. Let me grow in my sassy brat. You say the kids have both gone to the show. How about a little quickie before they come home? And I say, I suppose you think you're really slick, the way that you keep emphasizing little and quick. I'm not that sure I love you, you're a sassy brat. You hurt my big fat ego and you make me mad. Please don't cut our time in half. Let me grow in my sassy brat. Sassy bratty lady been a hanging around here, driving me crazy. 43 years, if I could ever afford to see a psychiatrist, I'd ask him why the hell do I like being treated like this. We were in bed but we were still awake. You said I really love you in this life we've made. I said, hey, can I quote you on what you just said? You told me if I did you'd punch me in the head. I love you, you sassy brat. You make me mad, you make me laugh. Please don't cut our time in half. Let me grow old in my sassy brat. I hope it's not too much to ask. Let me grow old with my sassy brat.
Woo!
All right,
Beautiful.
done.
I love that.
Yay.
Done. Woo!
Crowd is going wild. It's a wild crowd tonight on the internet. It's not the wildest thing on the internet, as we have learned, but it's pretty wild. I've written 2 books in my life. I promise you, I'm not writing anymore. I promise. I can't. It's too much. It can almost kill me. But I was thinking about being a good human today. Thought, what can I do in this world when human beings are behaving so dreadfully? Is that a couple things. So one is, why don't you unmute if you're in a relatively quiet place, those of you that are here with me, just so we can talk a little bit. So one of the things I thought was that you have to remember what you're defending in this world. What are you fighting for? I'm not saying this to you. This is how I'm talking to myself, trying to remember how not to be overwhelmed by overwhelming things, right? Like things that are big and out of my control and overwhelming. One of the things I always come back to is that what I'm fighting for is my joy and my happiness. And so we watched the president speak today, and my wife and I were pretty stressed out at the end of it. I didn't sleep much last night. I think, I was aware of what was going on. And but then I started thinking, what am I defending? So I'm aware of what's going on. I'm not putting my head in the sand. I'm aware of it. But I'm shutting that off and let's you and I fill all our bird feeders. So we went out and spent half an hour and filled all our bird feeders up, and we sat and waited for the birds to come. And here they're like a chickadee and a titmouse, and then red-bellied woodpecker, and because I live in the country, it's not just starlings and sparrows. Now it's all this wonderful assortment of birds here, and so I don't have any answers for anything, but I hope that you're taking care of yourself, and one of the ways that you do that is to remember what you're defending. You have to defend your joy. If someone breaks in your house and they take your television, they just took it from you. There's nothing you can do about it. But on their way out, if you hand them your happiness, oh, by the way, you forgot to take this, right? They didn't take that. You gave it to them, or your ability to feel safe in the world or any of that, right? So, I'm just like lecturing myself this way because I see that there's going to be some stress in my world just because of the world that I'm living in. So if you're in a quiet place, unmute and let me read this story to you from my first book, which is 15 years old now. It's called Memoirs of a Sea Student, and this is
I think you're the reason we're all here tonight, Don.
well, it's a big responsibility to take care of you during, the beginning of, global whatevers. But yeah, I'm just gonna try to. From me, there will be positive energy until I can't take it no more. Right. So right now, my day was good. So I had to remember this. This is my battleground, is my happiness, right? So anyway, here's an example of somebody behaving like a good human being. It's the last chapter in a story called 5 Minutes at My Friend's Wedding. So I'm going to tell you about this. So those of you that know about Lynn, Marlene and Tom will have to bring you here someday. I'll escort you so you'll be safe. So be sure and unmute if you can so I can hear you, and if I say something funny, it's not just me laughing, which makes me feel like I need some more medication or something. So I had to go to a wedding in Nahant. Nahant is a rich town near here. It's a little island, right? And it's near Lynn, and I didn't want to go to it, So, and this is what happened there. Let me see. All right, so yeah, let me just say. So when we was driving over down the causeway to Nahant, I asked my wife, I knew the bride, but I didn't know the groom, and I said, "What do you know about him?" She said, "The only thing I know about him is that he was barred for life from Frank's bar." Frank's bar at that time there wasn't a wilder place in the whole city. And think about that. I mean, it's like the Wild West in there. And while we were driving across the causeway to go to this wedding, I'm totally infatuated. I'm thinking, I'm in awe of this person I'm gonna meet, because I have seen so many things in that bar that nobody got barred for, and they were unbelievable, right? So so I'm going over there and I'm going,
It's true, Sarah.
what would you have to do to get barred from this wedding? So I approached it was in the country club over there, and I entered the building in a state of wonder, I was wondering. So, at the time of her sister's wedding, Deborah was 21. 2 decades of multiple sclerosis had twisted her into this tiny, contorted young woman. She sat in her wheelchair at a table with her family near the dance floor. The muscles in her neck had long ago surrendered the fight to keep her head held up. Her head rested upon her shoulder, giving her, I thought, a skewed view of the proceedings. As the party was winding down, the DJ played a slow song. It was a waltz. And I watched the groom, this is the guy, right? The guy that was barred from Frank. So I watched the groom walk over to Deborah. He bent down, tucked his 2 hands under her arms, and lifted her out of the wheelchair. Her legs stayed curled up beneath her as he carried her onto the dance floor. Her chin rested upon his shoulder. The floor cleared. Everyone stopped and watched. When the groom's back was to our table, we could see Deborah's face set upright atop his shoulder and looking wide-eyed around the room. Her body was hidden from our view. It would have been easy to picture her face attached to a young, healthy girl moving perfectly in step with him, except that her face could not conceal her lifetime in a wheelchair. Both of Deborah's sisters are absolutely gorgeous. They are petite and stunning. It seems reasonable to assume that they have each had more than their fair share of attention from young men. I pictured the perfectly coherent and articulate girl behind Deborah's eyes, peering out at a world that routinely bestowed upon her sisters all the experiences that mark the stages of a girl's journey to adulthood. She was sitting in her wheelchair when her sisters went out on their first dates, when they went to and returned from the prom. And here she was again at Dawn's wedding. This face that looked at us from the shoulder of her dance partner was that of a young woman who had spent her life silently watching as the dreams of other people came true. This was a face that never expected to be beautiful. Now, through the spontaneous actions of her newly anointed brother-in-law, for 5 minutes at her sister's wedding, and for the only time in her life, she was the belle of the ball. She ruled the dance floor with the handsomest man in the building. She was, in the eyes of everyone in attendance, and presumably in her own mind, quite simply the most beautiful woman in the world. She looked to me as if she would burst. When the music stopped, the man who was barred for life from Frank's Corner Bar placed her gently back into her wheelchair, kissed her on the forehead, and disappeared into the crowd.
Woo! Yeah.
Did you
Nice
ever
boy.
find out why he was barred for life?
No, if I was going
No?
to guess, I would be safe for stealing. I don't know what. It's certainly not for behaving badly. But what I love about that story and why it always stayed with me is that that room was filled with clergy and people working on behalf of humanity, social workers and all that. But it was the guy with that history, that background, who saw the moment and didn't let it get by, that he did it. So, you know, as bad as human beings can be, and some of them are behaving poorly at this moment, as they always are, I guess. Sometimes they'll surprise you, right? So there we go. All right. I've got $300 bills that are all brand new. They are begging me to think of something cool to do. How about I'll take you downtown and spend them all on you? I don't want to stay home tonight. We have worked so hard for so many years, built a home, a life, a family, and 2 careers. Saved our money for the future, now the future is here. I don't want to stay home tonight. I can't stay home again tonight. I can't stay home again tonight. I can't stay home, can't stay home. I can't. I need you and me, how it used to be. Every week on Friday night, there is so much history that only we can see. Can't stay home again tonight. Me and Michael, Johnny, Richard, Ruthie, and Joan all had bouts with cancer last year. You know, if cancer was a man, I would punch him in the throat. I don't want to stay home tonight. 'Cause time isn't sentimental. It doesn't seem to care about your plans or your hopes and dreams. It just keeps track of your minutes and wipes the slate clean. I don't want to stay home tonight. I can't stay home again tonight. I can't stay home again tonight. I can't stay home, can't stay home. I can't. I need you and me, how it used to be. Every week on Friday night, there is so much history that only we can see. Can't stay home again tonight. Well, I know we can't party like we did before. Can't stay up till 4 in the morning no more. But the house is paid off and the kids are all grown. What the hell have we been working for? Let's take a nap, take our inhalers, take a multivitamin, and then go out to see some music with all of our friends who didn't die from the way we used to party back then. I don't want to stay home tonight, 'cause time isn't sentimental. It doesn't seem to care about your plans or your hopes and dreams. It just keeps track of your minutes and wipes the slate clean. I don't want to stay home tonight. I can't stay home again tonight. I can't stay home again tonight. I can't stay home, can't stay home. I can't. I need you and me, how it used to be. Every week on Friday night, there is so much history that only we can see. Can't stay home, can't stay home. I can't stay home again tonight.
Yo! Hey, John.
Hey. So I'm going out. Was I talking about this to you guys? Maybe before the stream started. I'm going. I have my first gig in Rhode Island. It's sold out. 100 seats. 100 seats sold.
All right, done.
Big deal in my tiny world, I have to tell you. And
Kasim's almost sold out, if not sold out already.
yeah,
right?
Kasim's got a few seats left, and then I'm playing on the Bull Run 2 on the Saturday. So it's my birthday. I'm gonna be 65. It's, you know, I'm a Medicare child now.
I remember that decade.
That was 2 decades ago, wasn't it, Neil? So I'm as excited. You know, I think a little nervous. Like, you know, I'm not going to let anybody breathe at the concert. That's what I was saying earlier. Come to the show, but no breathing. No breathing.
No breathing allowed.
Hold your breath until Dawn tells.
Say it again?
Said hold your breath until Dawn tells you.
Yeah, all right. No, I almost thought about like having everyone pull their masks off and smile so I could take a picture of it, you know, and just put it back on, like hold your breath and smile. But I'm afraid that would freak somebody out. Probably me. It would freak me. But there, you know, the church, the one on Saturday is in a church, so I think people are comfortable. People won't be eating there and all that, and I'm just excited. Like I said this before, like I have a lot of pent up mischief in me. This first group that gets me, I'm like a guy coming out of jail. You know what I mean? I have a lot of stuff I've been holding in for a while. So I'm excited about that. Then the following week is my birthday, and I'm doing Saturday at the Bull Run out in Shirley, Mass, and Sunday in the day a matinee at Club Passim in Cambridge, and that one's going to be live streamed if you want to check in from some other part of the country. It's at 1:00 East Coast time at Club Passim. And my friend Everett Pendleton, who was here last week, is going to play, and then I think Christina Thompson Lively is going to sing. It's hard to find people to practice with too. Everybody, have to practice in 2 different rooms. But thanks to everybody that's bought tickets to any of those shows. It means a lot to me, man. I'm telling you. So this is something that Everett and I are gonna play. It's kind of a band song, but I've been, because of you guys, been learning how to play it without the band here. But my dad said, son, if you keep going on this way, bad report card, real bad report card, you're gonna wind up as a lumper on a cruise someday. I said, Dad, what's a lumper? I was laughing so hard, rolling on the floor. Dad, no one uses words like a lumper anymore. The guys are outside. It's Friday night. I gotta go. See you later, and thanks for the lecture. If you keep doing the things that you are doing, if the things you're doing don't do you in, they can always use another lumper down on the Second Chance crew. Me, Billy Bob, Rick and Ray, those were my drinking buddies. We were living for the party every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Don't forget Sunday. One by one they moved away from home. The time went by. The next thing I know, I'm 31. I'm drinking with a bunch of 19-year-olds. What a loser, man. What a loser of you. Keep doing the thing you are doing. If these things that you are doing don't do you in, they can always use another lumper on the Second Chance crew. Second Chance people got a touch of gray, party their teens and their 20s away, but now they're sober, starting over, and they're 32. They're just so glad to be working on the Second Chance crew. Those pallets aren't gonna move themselves, lumper. You should have studied a little harder in school, that's right. I wound up in the program. I know that's no surprise. I make the minimum wage. At least I did that. My knees are aching and my back is sore. I've been dragging these ladders across a plywood floor. And Dad, I never wonder what a lumper is anymore. You want to know why? 'Cause I'm a lumper. You keep doing the thing that you are doing. If these things that you are doing don't do you in, they can always use another lumper on the Second Chance crew. Smoke it, drink it, and puff it up your nose while your education goes up in smoke. And when you're in your 30s and the party is through, we're saving you a seat at the meeting, a job lumping on the crew. Saving you a seat at the meeting, a seat at the meeting. It's like a revival, really. It's a seat at the meeting, a seat at the meeting, a seat at the meeting. Hi, I'm Don, I'm an alcoholic. A seat at the meeting.
Hi, Don.
Seat at the meeting, a job lumping on the crew. A seat at the meeting and a job lumping on the crew.
Whoa, done.
Woo! Great song.
Thank you. I remember my dad, he didn't call me a lumper, he called me a hunky. Have you ever heard that? Anybody ever hear that before? Like, that was his own slang, right? But we looked it up, and it was slang that came out of the Pittsburgh steel mills. I guess it was a mutilation of like a Hungarian. Like the Hungarians were in the steel mill. This is what I read, and I don't know if this is true. Were like the the entry level guys, like they shoveled the slag that fell off the shovel of the slag shoveler. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so in my father's mind, a hunky was the low, like the you know, it's what you're gonna be, Don, because you're flunking out of everything, you know. And so I changed it to lumper, so so people would know. They wouldn't have to learn my dad's secret language. My dad had an amazing secret language. Like I think a lot of his slang only existed like in like 4 streets in Lynn, like Wyman Street.
And here he has 2 books now. His name. Look at that. Huh?
I think maybe like if I ever write another book, it'll just be like slang that my father took in the grave with him. You know, he used to call people soft as a sneaker full of shit. Isn't that funny?
Oh, man.
Like, it's so politically incorrect. I mean, you know, you're supposed to be serious about mental illness and all that, right? Which I am. I don't. But just I really, really mourn the loss of that term. You know, there's not a day goes by. I was looking at my TV today and thinking these people are all soft as a sneaker full of shit.
One of my dad's favorite was, you don't have enough brain. If brains were dynamite, you wouldn't have enough to blow your nose.
Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do dad sayings that are unique to your dad. Come on. In South Dakota, there must have been some of you guys over there. My dad had a bunch of them. He once called the guy a pimple on the ass of progress. Have you ever heard that before?
That's good.
Yeah.
He's a pimple on the ass of progress, that guy.
Well, did anyone else's dad ever use the phrase, tell him to go bag his ass?
No, but that's good.
You know, my dad and my uncle said it, and I didn't know if it was a Detroit thing or a World War II thing or what, but when you got told to go bag your ass, you knew it.
Yeah, that was serious stuff, right?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
How about this one? One day, my brother and I are in the living room. My dad's here. My mother's looking out the window, and she says, "That guy across the street said he could get me a transmission and put in my car for $50. The whole thing. Get the transmission and put it in the car." And my dad says, "He talks like a man with a paper asshole." Have you ever heard that before?
No.
oh, goodness.
We laughed so hard, we were like on the ground laughing, and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" Right? We're like, "What does that mean?" He's like, he talks a good game, and he, you know, but he's not going to be able to get it done. I'm like, what paper apple? I'm not seeing the connection, Dad. And we looked it up, and it wasn't local. That was something from his era, and the description and when we looked it up on the internet was if you had a paper asshole, it would flap and make a sound, right? Like a noise. All right, so Marlene, come on, South Dakota. Nobody up there's got a saying that nobody ever heard from the rest of the world. Come on, help me out here. Tommy, get Tommy involved in this. All right. You know, I wrote a lot about my dad in this book, and I tried to be honest and kind to him, which was you know, something I really wanted to do. He was a great guy, but I'm so glad I was raised by him. He was funny and tough and smart, and he had just a pocket full of those things. He called money like sawbuck, right? Sawbuck. Do we know that?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a pretty common one, right? Do you know why that is? I looked all these up because I'm like, I know he's taking these in the ground with him on a on a sawhorse. There's the 2 pieces like this, 10, right? There's like the Roman numeral 10 underneath the sawhorse, so it's a sawbuck. How about that? And he called him a C note. That was 100, and whatever. All right. I think we've exhausted Larry's secret dialect now. I'll try to think of some more of them as it go on. All right, I'm going to play a song for you now that I wrote when I was 20 years old. Nobody's ever heard this song, ever, I don't think. But I was thinking about today. My son hadn't been born yet. He was coming in a few months. And the government at that time was threatening to send troops, I think, to El Salvador. You know how it is, right? They just, you know. And I was thinking about this new kid that I was going to have. And I started thinking about what a hero is. You know, what I would tell him a hero was. So I'm just going to play a little bit of it. Storm clouds are gathering over yonder. The way that they are heading is clear. A fool's wind is blowing from the capital. I can feel it getting drafty here. And they will tell you they can turn you from a child into a man. But kindness and love can do it better than violence can. So if you really want to be a hero, if you need a cause worth fighting for, try to tell the people that the truth is no one ever wins a war. Everybody loses, everybody loses. That's the way it's always been. One side will lose more, the other side will lose less. Everyone will lose a friend. No one ever really wins. Keep your eyes on the horizon and the clouds that are rolling in. Remember, real heroes never put their sails up in an arrogant and foolish wind. And if you really want to be a hero, if you need a cause worth fighting for, try to tell the people that the truth is no one ever wins a war. Everybody loses, everybody loses. That's the way it's always been. One side will lose more, the other side will lose less. Everyone will lose a friend. No one ever really wins. There you go.
Woo! Beautiful, Don.
Thank
Very
you.
appropriate.
Really, very, very appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have mixed feelings about all this stuff. Like I'm a peace-loving person up to the point where I'm threatened. Then I think I wouldn't have no trouble killing anybody, really, honestly. At that point, like I can separate the two things. But if given the chance, I believe in peace, and the idea that you win something by there being less of you dead than the other side is just the stupidest thing in the world. My humble opinion. So let's move on. Let me play another song, and then we'll have our guest poet here tonight, Jacqueline. all the days of her youth. So somebody asked me to play this like a month ago, and I've just been playing it every week because I had forgotten about it all the whole time. This is for my wife who grew up in the projects here and there in Lynn, Massachusetts. All the days of her youth were spent in housing subsidized by the government. By the time that her neighbors were 12 years old, they knew how to steal automobiles and play that rock and roll. Shoo-up, shoo-waddy, waddy, project girl. Shoo-up, shoo-waddy, waddy, oo-doo-ah-doo-ah. Shoo-up, shoo-waddy, waddy, project girl. Shoo-up, shoo-waddy, waddy, oo-doo-ah-doo-ah. I was raised on the other side with the white picket fences and a brand new bike when the sun was hot and the days were long. My dad turned on the sprinkler to save the lawn, but now I'm grown and I work all day. When I come home, I moan, I groan and complain, but my project girl puts me in my place, calls me a middle-class spoiled brat right to my face. Shoo-waddy, waddy, project girl. Shoo-waddy, waddy, oo-doo-ah-doo-ah. Shoo-waddy, waddy, project girl. Shoo-waddy, waddy, oo-doo-ah-doo-ah. Now by the time that she married me, she was already adept at austerity, and she can keep us going on my piddly pay. She can cook a potato 119 ways. Shoo-waddy, waddy, project girl. Shoo-waddy, waddy, oo-doo-ah-doo-ah. Project girl, I love my project girl. I love my project girl. If my young daughter hates what we eat and she's liable to pick it up and throw it at me, well, the projects have never been her home, but her mother gave her project chromosome, so it don't matter where she met it, she will always be a second generation project kid. Shoo-waddy, waddy, project girl. Shoo-waddy, waddy, oo-doo-ah-doo-ah. Shoo-waddy, waddy, project girl. Shoo-waddy, I love my project girl. You know, these classy women in their fancy clothes, they're very impressive, I suppose, but I wouldn't trade my project girl for every Maserati mama in this whole wide world. I love my project girl.
Oh, done.
Good. Woo!
We're
Yeah.
rocking it tonight, aren't we? Here. These are all songs from this era. I'm just an ordinary working Joe. I got a Chevrolet Nova, 15 years old. It's a bucket of bolts, but the thing still runs. Don't ask me where my inspection sticker came from. I put a new carburetor on that Chevrolet. I blew the radiator on the very next day. It took $200 to fix that car. That's $100 more than I could sell it for. I get paid on Friday. I buy a quart of Budweiser. I don't believe in this work hard to get ahead stuff. I believe in the mega bucks. That used to be the name of the Massachusetts State Lottery, in case you're wondering. Six months ago, my boss promised me a raise. He promised me again the other day I'd be the happiest man that ever lived if I could pay my rent with his promises to get paid on Friday. I buy a quart of Budweiser. I don't believe in this work hard to get ahead stuff. I believe in the mega bucks. It's my retirement plan, that's right. Odds on me hitting the mega bucks. 5, 6, 7, 8 million to 1. The odds on getting rich on what they're paying me. Make 8 million to 1 look like a real sure thing to get paid on Friday. Oh yeah, I buy some Budweiser. Oh yeah, I don't believe in this work hard to get it stuff. I believe in the mega bucks.
Good.
I'm feeling all manly and testosterone. All right, so it's a joy for me now. Like we established, you know, again I say this a lot, but there's, you know, people watching that I can't see, so they're new people, you know, on different platforms. So I just want to say to all of them, this is something I've been doing just to get through COVID, to do this and to feel connected to the world a little bit. But it's also giving me an opportunity to share my friends with my other friends, like my artist friends. And so we established this like spoken word corner here probably 6 months ago, and I've been inviting different poets and storytellers and you know, liars and you know, things like that to sort of come in and do it. And tonight I'm just delighted that my friend Jacqueline Stark is here, and she's a fantastic writer and somebody she's got a great spirit and a great way of
Oh, thanks, Don.
puts such lovely, you know, she just puts good energy into the world, and I'm delighted to share her with our I don't want to say international, but our countrywide group here. So Jacqueline, let's all unmute for a minute and give her a nice round of applause. Welcome her here.
Jacqueline.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm not sure which category, if I'm in the category of poet, storyteller, or liar. You decide.
Liar, you know, that's the one.
So I'm gonna read, this is a poem that sort of has to do with spring being on its way. It's called In the Hibernaculum. I wait beneath layers of dirt, not yet ready to venture up from this dark space where I lie tangled with the others, all of us knotted into complicated shapes. The sun's warmth teases us a little more light each day, almost imperceptible. Slight tremors of movement nudge me back from total darkness, slit eyes sensing light above. My sinewy body stretches and untwines as I writhe to the surface, my forked tongue quivering with unspoken words.
Yeah.
And thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
This one, I wrote this one sort of close to the beginning of this pandemic existence. And this was, I wrote this in the summer after everything was whatever it was. So it's called Eider. On this 100th Thursday of our isolation, the clouds of the receding thunderstorm hunch their murky shoulders as they slowly lighten from dark gray to paler gray. My friend and I venture out along Lynn Shore Drive. The wind off the ocean lifts our uncut hair off our necks to blow wildly around our faces. We walk to Fisherman's Beach to see the lion's mane jellyfish. On the sand, we stand surrounded by large red blobs, looking like the evil afterbirth of feral unions between Cthulhu and the mad sex monstresses of the deep. Maybe these creatures will be the next horror visited upon us in this apocalyptic year. Among the scattered blood-colored detritus of jellyfish and seaweed, the softest little creature waddles on the sand, awkward large feet making it look drunk. It wanders away from the surf toward us, passing right by my two small feet to nestle against your large white sneaker, recognizing you as who you truly are, goddess of the Eiders, big-footed, red-haired, and fierce. You stand guard as it sleeps, and we both wait for whatever comes next.
Yeah.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like Linda. Is Linda? That's Linda.
It's Linda. It's Linda. And it's funny because I wrote a poem about the eider, and then she wrote a poem about the eider, and they both got published in this thing that was happening online called Global Poemic. They were publishing poems all throughout most of the early part of the pandemic. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is one based on a day at my job. I'm a community college teacher. Alert. In the community college classroom, we watch a video of the Parkland students speaking before a room full of concerned and attentive listeners at Kennedy School of Government. We look at graphs of guns per capita. The United States is #1. My students from China, Cape Verde, Ethiopia, Pakistan just don't understand. Our phones buzz simultaneously. Alert, there's been a stabbing. We look up from this message and glance at each other. Our eyes widen with alarm, stunned, silent, frozen in our places. My heart sinks into my stomach as my pulse quickens and my head feels light. Alert, there's been a stabbing. A student who came in late, who always comes in late, casually mentions walking by a trail of blood on his way to class, drops forming a path from the men's room past our classroom door and continuing down the dark basement hallway. Alert, there's been a stabbing. I look over at the 6-year-old boy whose mom brought him to class today, curly head bowed in concentration towards the small screen he holds in his hand, thumbs busily clicking. I catch his mother's eyes. She mouths, "Don't worry, he doesn't understand." Alert, there's been a stabbing, suspect still at large. Students ask if they can leave. I say, no, I think we should wait. Suddenly the door flies open, smacks hard into the back wall. A tall young man comes in, asks if he can sit down. Too many police out there, he says. I needed to get away. Alert, there's been a stabbing. Suspect is in custody. I walk to the door to peek into the hallway and see a tangled web of yellow tape. The sign on the classroom wall says, in the event of an active shooter, lock and barricade door. But the door only locks from the outside and all the furniture is flimsy. It says, keep out of sight and take cover behind concrete walls, thick desks, or file cabinets. There is nothing here that fits that description.
Wow.
Wow.
True story.
Where was that?
Yeah.
Jacqueline, where
And
was
yeah, I don't know. How much time? Do one more?
Yeah, of course, but I want to know where that was.
Bunker Hill.
Bunker Hill.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
College, right? In Boston. Yep.
Bunker Hill Community College.
Boston, yeah.
Right, some real world stuff.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna read, this one is coming out in publication pretty soon in Muddy River Poetry Review, and it's called Bee Poems. 1, be kind. On World Bee Day, I wake up thinking of yellow. Buzzing phone alarm reminds me how much I always wanted to pet a bumblebee, hold her in my hand, gently caress her fuzzy stripes. Last week, the biggest bee I'd ever seen was buzzing against my window as I stirred honey into my tea, wondering how the hell it got trapped in this messy kitchen with no way out, desperately hurling herself against glass. I captured her in a mug covered with images of meadowsweet and swamp thistle and freed her from my back porch, watching her fly away with some reluctance. I think she looked back to thank me. 2, beware. The next day, my friend got stung right on the tip of her left big toe by a yellow jacket that was lurking in her shoe, just waiting for the right moment. And my ex-lover told me a wasp was lying in wait on his pillow when he laid his head down to sleep. Thinking of me, it stung him just beneath the eye. Perhaps a warning. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Great, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, do you have a book out or a chapter?
No, I don't have a book out.
No, so
I'm retiring at the end of this semester,
yeah.
and maybe after that I can take time to work on a
You know,
book.
there's a waiting audience. I'll buy one. You know.
Really?
All right, let's hear one more time for Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jacqueline. Hey.
Jacqueline.
You're welcome to hang around
And
with us.
thanks for inviting me, Don.
Sure, if you're
Thanks so
around
much.
later in the after party, I'll ask you to play another. But don't feel obliged to hang out if you get something else to do. But it's lovely to see you.
Thanks. I
Well,
got
let's-
nothing to do. I'm trying to stay away from the news.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
This is like an oasis here. We're not putting our head in the sand. We know what's going on, but that doesn't mean we can't be good humans together, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take a 3-minute break. Those of you watching on other platforms and my friends here, this is free. You know, if you don't have any money, don't worry about it. But if you can donate a couple of bucks, there is Venmo and PayPal information in all of the chats, and I'll pay Brandon, our technician, and if there's anything left over, I buy groceries with it. But again, no pressure on you. I understand it's difficult times. So I'll be back in three minutes, and then I'll play till 8:25, and then we'll have our after party.
Okay.
Hello, I'm back. Did you miss me? Yeah. So I want to shout out to some of my friends that I see that are watching on other platforms. Annie Caps is over on YouTube. Hi, Annie. And Tony Toledo's over there as well, saying nice things about Jacqueline over there. You guys are welcome to come over to the Zoom part, Brandon, if you don't mind putting the Zoom information over there, so that the Zoom bombers can find it and we can deal with them. And also over on Facebook, Skippy Bowes, my good buddy from down in Florida now. Hi, Skip, good to see you. If you can figure out how to come over here to Zoom, let me look at you. That would be great. All right. So here, I'll send this out to Skippy Bowes. So I met him in Lynn, Massachusetts, 1973. I was born in the city of Lynn, home of the first turbine engine. And as if that wasn't enough, it is also the home of marshmallow fluff. You can travel the whole country, you'll never find a bigger fluff factory. I'm from Lynn, what can I say? People from Lynn act this way, I don't talk slick, that's what I said. I'm not from Swampskid or Marblehead, don't be staring at me that way. I am from Lynn, what can I say? Used to hang around in Barry Park, that's illegal after it gets dark. I would stand on the bleachers where things got smoked and beer was chug-a-lug, bottles got broke. Later in the evening when the police come, 27 juveniles are on the run. Juveniles are running every way you see, jumping over fences, climbing in trees. But Dawn is too loaded to get away. His name is on the paper. On the next day, his mother, his father, they won't believe he would publicly humiliate the family. I said, Mom from Lynn, what can I say? People from Lynn act this way. I don't talk slick, that's what I said. I'm not from Swampskid or Marblehead. Don't be staring at me that way. I'm from Lynn, what can I say? Corner of every street, somebody's cooking something greasy to eat. Deep fat is frying everywhere you look. This town is bound for the record books. It's a million sub shops open all night long. A socio-intestinal phenomenon. I'm from Lynn, what can I say? People from Lynn eat this way. No room in my stomach for French cuisine. Give me a bag of cheese curled in a submarine. Julia Child, get out of my way. I'm from Lynn, what can I say? That's how you know when a song's been around too long, when it actually has dead people in it. You know, I left Lynn so many years ago, I didn't know where I was gonna go. There were a bunch of my friends leaning up against Frank's Bar and Grill. 10 years later, they're leaning there still. Half of my friends who are not on the street are dead in jail or annoying me, and I'm from Lynn. What can I say? People from Lynn act this way. I don't talk slick, that's what I said. They won't even let me into Marblehead. They're afraid I'll steal something, and I have in the past, and I might again, you never know. Don't be staring at me that way. I'm from Lynn, what can I say?
Woo! All right, Don. Woo!
Alright, so... Hey, Tony Toledo, how you doing, buddy?
Good to see you, Don. Great songs.
Thanks, man. Good to see you. Jacqueline, she'll have to go over to YouTube and see all the good things you wrote about her over there. All right. So I want to thank everyone who was able to throw a few bucks my way. I think there'd probably be enough to pay Brandon. That's the most important thing we get going here. He's got kids to raise and all that stuff. It's always nice if I don't have to tell my wife. It's okay if I tell her I didn't make any money, but if I have to ask her for money to pay the crew, we're getting in a sticky zone there. So thank you to everybody who did that. So this is my newest book called The Hitchhiking Years. Many of you have tortured yourself by reading this poor thing, and I'm grateful to you. I'm gonna read a thing about bears now. Like, I grew up in Lynn, and I didn't know much about bears, but when we were hitchhiking in the Yukon Territory, especially, I had to learn about them because they, just because. So, here we go. Oh, I like that. That's good. Sorry, I'm not real professional here. Here it is. Okay. All right. It's called The Free Camp. So, unmute those of you in my zone here. So like if you're in a quiet place, unmute, because when I read, I want to feel connected to you, and it's possible I may say something funny here, and I don't want to be the only one laughing. It's just not good for me. Even though I can see you laughing, there's something about not having the audio. So here, talk to me. Just everybody say something. Just something. Come on.
Ah!
Hi, Dad.
There you go.
Hi, Dad.
See? How's that? I don't need much in this world. I just need a couple of people so I can feel connected to in this big stupid world that we're in. So here, free camp. This is the free camp. Checklist of threatening things a person might encounter on a 3-year North American hitchhiking adventure. If you have had previous experience with any of the following, check the corresponding box. Ignorance, check. Alcoholics, check. Men trying to get rid of you and keep your girlfriend, check. Bears. Wait, what? Bears. Well, coming from Lynn, I've dealt with people who had similar intellectual capacities, and with people who would snatch a sandwich out of your hand and dare you to do something about it because they were bigger than you and feral. But actual giant fur-covered, cave-dwelling, hibernating, long-clawed, sharp-toothed bears, nope, never had the pleasure. Well, that's a shame, because when you get to the Canadian Rockies, you're going to meet a lot of them. And the diplomacy skills that you have relied on so heavily to navigate danger will be entirely ineffective, because bears have a voracious appetite for everything except well-reasoned arguments as to why their brutish behavior is hurtful to fellow mammals. I was so impressed with myself when I wrote that. All right. So between 1973 and 1982, the Canadian government provided a free alternate campground at all their big outdoory tourist destinations where people could camp for free. Right, so they keep the tourists with the trailers over there, so they could put peanut butter sandwiches together for the bears, and then they had us all out in the woods, right? All us. So we hiked into the Jasper. This is all true too, and I remember remembering this, I couldn't hardly believe that it happened. We hiked into the Jasper, Alberta free camp in late June. There were outhouses and a spigot for water, and to the best of my recollection, nothing else. We walked through the sprawling collection of campsites that featured a colorful variety of improvised shelters cobbled together with tarps and twine and all manner of itinerant ingenuity. It was like a government-sanctioned hobo jungle without the hobos. We had seen real hobo encampments in freight yards before. The people we met in them were often intense, with a sense of desperation hanging over them. We never lingered. But this place had a great feel to it. It was an eclectic assemblage of hikers, woodsmen, and seekers. And being that it was Canada in 1975, one would think there may have been a few draft dodgers on the ground as well. While we were searching out a spot to set up our tent, we were commenting on how almost all the campsites had lovely glass bottles of different colors and shapes dangling in bunches on their peripheries. It seemed so artsy to us. A couple of hours after we had set up our tiny tent, two men in their late 20s from Michigan, that's right, arrived and set up next to us. I was writing deep thoughts in a journal. Teresa was sitting on a tree stump reading a book. Our campsite had a dreamy, sort of a butterfly feel to it. They assembled their camp with a focus and a sense of urgency that was more worker bee than butterfly. As soon as their tent was raised and secured, one of them emerged from it with a hatchet in his hand and proceeded to chop down a tree about 20 feet high and 6 inches in diameter. He trimmed off all the branches until it was a long pole, and then, through some wizardry that included the use of ropes and slip knots and the scaling of giant trees, the two of them hung a perfectly level 20-foot home-made pole 15 feet off the ground between two giant fir trees. You folks have a bear pole set up for your food and backpacks? Huh? A bear what? A bear pole, like this, he pointed. Me and my flower child looked at each other and shook our heads. No, we don't have one of those. Grab your stuff and bring it here and we'll hang it for you. Again, as if they were living in a time-lapse video, they used rope magic to hang all four of our backpacks at the center point of the pole because we later learned that since the center can't be reached from either tree, our supplies would be subject to pillaging only by the type of bears who had a background in tightrope walking or pole dancing. The horizontal kind, not the kind you're thinking of. As fond as we were of the free camp, our fondness paled in comparison to the affection felt by the community of bears who lived in the area. To us, it was a free camp. To them, it was a free buffet. They saw it as an open-air market of deliciousness. They would go into the big shiny motorhome campground during the day and pose for photos in return for peanut butter sandwiches made for them by tourists. Then unruly gangs of them would come marauding through the free camp at night to pillage and plunder and lay waste to our Top Holland village. I had never thought about the term babes in the wood before, but that's what we were. Sensing our obvious lack of wilderness training and not wanting to witness a mauling, our Michigan mountain men took us under their proverbial wings. Without their protection and tutelage, Jasper's marauding bear gangs would certainly have had their way with us. Now that evening, boys and girls, our neighbors gave us a crash course on how to protect our food and our bodies from the local behemoths who were determined to make the gentrifying of their neighborhood as costly as possible. Wear a bell on your backpack when hiking so you don't surprise them. Always hang your food. And remember that stories about bears smelling and attacking menstruating women have never been proven to be true. Okay, good. Thank you. The next evening, just after sunset, we heard what sounded like pots clanging from the far end of the campground. Then we heard someone scream, "Bear dog!" What immediately followed was the sound of a dog barking and an exponential increase in the amount and volume of yelling and clanging. The glass bottles that hung in bunches on the periphery of the homes of experienced free campers, although quite artsy, were actually an early warning system to alert the camper to the presence of tiptoeing bears. He or she would hear the bottles clink, spy the intruder, and set off a chain reaction throughout the camp by banging two metal pans together while yelling threats and obscenities at the bear and calling for the bear dog. What's a bear dog? Good question. This particular evening, it was an Irish setter who lived for the thrill of chasing a bear through and eventually out of the camp. A bear tripped the glass bottle alarm systems and was immediately set upon by a screaming, pot-clanging draft dodger and an Irish setter. It was a call to arms. Beginning with the campers closest to the initial incident, residents began yelling and clanging pots to encourage the bear to find an escape route that didn't go through their campsite. Don't chase him over here, clang, clang, curse word, curse word. In seconds, 300 campers, in fear of having their flimsy living quarters trampled by a 900-pound rampaging leviathan, had turned the entire site into an obscenity-yelling, pot-clanging, barking cacophony. And we, the babes in the woods, we stood dumbstruck, having no idea what was happening. Then we saw a mammoth brown bear running at full speed directly toward our campsite, while swiping his long claws behind him at a red dog who was having the greatest moment of his life.
Oh my God.
Stepped aside, and both pursuer and pursued ran past us close enough that, had we thought of it, we could have patted both of their heads. A few minutes later, the clanging and yelling tapered off and ceased. Everyone went back to cooking dinner. Then the bear dog swaggered back with a bounce in his step and a chest full of pride. He stopped at every campsite to garner head pats and words of praise from grateful residents. Good boy. That's a good bear dog. We didn't know what had just happened, or what kind of surrealistic film we had been unwittingly cast in, but we knew that we had just experienced something that had been entirely beyond our ability to predict, and that we, two kids from Lynn, Mass, were a very long way from home.
Woo!
Bear dog.
That story is unbearable.
You did there?
I just think we should all be barking and going ahead and, cussing everything. Goddamn bear! And everybody's screaming while you're trying to read it. Ah! I can't imagine having a goddamn bear charging at your tent. Jeez.
I mean, when we woke up one day, there was a tear in our tent from a bear. We didn't know that happened. We didn't know if we were in it when it happened or not. It was wild. If you read about the free camp, if you go online, it's pretty interesting. It was a really cool thing that the Canadian government did, and it was wild. You could do anything. Not to mention, this didn't make it into the book because we had a discussion on it, and we decided not to let this out there, but the town, they had these beer halls in Jasper and in Banff and in Whitehorse too, where all they sold was beer. It was 25 cents a glass, and they would bring a tray with 50 of them on it, and just put, so there was a lot of drinking and bear chasing going on out there in the wilderness. So let me play one more song, then I'll take another break, and we'll have our after party. We have my friend Steve Burke is here, coming to us from New York City, and my friend Janet Feld coming to us from where are you now? Somerville? Yep, thumbs up on Somerville. All right, so let me play this. It's called That's What Makes You Beautiful, and so I'm glad that you were here tonight, and that you're gonna, that you're joining me. I wasn't sure about it. I was up all night thinking about the world and the meanness of it, but I thought this it's important, right? For us to be together and to behave and to see each other behaving like kind people who don't want to take things from other people. You were taught by your world that empathy and kindness were the kind of things that made a person weak. This is for all the tyrants out there. They said push and grab and fight every minute of your life, and trample those between you and what you believe you need. But from the moment you were born, in your heart there was a song you could hear through all those years of fear and insecurity, singing cruelty is always weak, but love and empathy are strong enough to break the chains of selfishness and greed. Gentle is the strongest thing to be. You know it is not your fault that heroin and alcohol made them both too ill to give their children what they really need. But it sure would have been nice to be encouraged once or twice to feel safe at night, or to have a life with just a little normalcy. From the moment you were born, in your heart there was a song you could hear through all those years of fear and insecurity. When you feel hatred in your heart, you just remember who you are, and that underneath the weight of hate, your heart cannot be free. Forgiving is the stronger thing to be. It's not the color of your eyes, it's not your hypnotizing smile, it's not any of the many things that everyone can see. It's the way you always knew what they told you wasn't true. It's how you made yourself the person that they taught you not to be. That's what makes you beautiful to me. A young man's eyes see beauty in what is on the surface, not within. He will walk past what is beautiful to be near the thing that shines. But these old man's eyes see beauty in the story, in the journey. They have seen too much to be fooled by what attracts a young man's eyes. From the moment you were born, in your heart there was a song you could hear through all those years of fear and insecurity. There was nothing that this world could do to crush the love inside of you. Under neglect, abuse, and selfishness, you were caring, kind, and generous. It is the lonely road that brought you here. It's how all alone you persevered. It's the defiance and tenacity of your heart song of humanity. That's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful to me.
Woo! Thanks, Don.
Oh, you're
Nice
welcome.
job, Don.
Love that song.
Feeling emotional. I'm feeling like a kind human in an unkind world. Good to see you all. So let me just take a 1 minute break. Again, if you can throw a few bucks my way, the information's in the chat. So I'll buy groceries with it, and I'll pay Brandon. That's the most important thing. We'll be back. We'll have our after party, and we will gather and be good humans together. All right. So just back in 1 minute. Just a minute. All right, boys and girls, let's start our after party here. So, those of you that are new to it, watching on other platforms. Oh, by the way, if you're watching on Facebook or if you're near Facebook, you can share this. That's the way that most people get to see it, and it stays up there for a while after that, so people can see it. And again, thanks to those of you that were able to throw a few bucks my way. If there's money left after I paid Brandon, I will be thinking about you in Market Basket tomorrow when we go there in the snow tomorrow. So let's start with my friend Steve Burke. Steve's coming to us from New York. So Steve, unmute so I can hear you, buddy.
Hey, Don. Hey, everyone.
Good. So Steve, you got your settings just the way they were, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Steve's quite a good musician, a fantastic bass player, and I've used him on several occasions to make the groups that I was in sound better, have a better bottom, as it were. Lynn City Hall a couple times, as I recall, and he's in some jazz bands. He went to Berkeley. He's a great musician, but he's writing songs these days, and he's a kid from Lynn who's really carved a niche for himself in the music scene in New York City. So I'm delighted that he's here. We'll chat a little more the second time through, but let's give Steve a nice round of applause. Unmute just for a second so he can feel you. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, why don't you play something to get us started here?
Thanks, Don. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I am from Lynn, and I dug this out of my parents' house pretty recently. This might look familiar to some of you.
Oh, yeah. Live at the Somerville Theater album. Wow. That's worth $1.50 on eBay right now, buddy. Don't wait.
So, yeah, like Don said, I'm primarily a bass player, but lately I've been writing a lot of songs and trying to sing. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to sing in such a safe and welcoming environment. You all seem very nice, and I enjoyed Jacqueline's poems a lot, and I always enjoy hearing Don play, and I'm looking forward to hearing everybody else. So this first song is called Town to Town, and I wrote it about a friend of mine, another musician who we share some similar types of personality traits, but this is not about me, it's about him. So you'll get the gist of it. Okay, so it goes like this. Well, I rode from town to town, put my feet up off the ground, played guitar in some old bar, fixed the brake pads in my car. I'm gonna start one more time. Sorry about that. Well, I rode from town to town, kept my feet up off the ground, played guitar in some old bar, fixed the brake pads in my car, chasing thrills across the country. I'm climbing hills inside my mind just to reach over the edge, terrified of what I find in the quiet stillness, softly calling me back from the cliff, away from bitter truth that lies inside the flowing river that rushes me along from town to town. Well, this old car can do it all, picks me up before I fall, coolant burning white, sound of Joni in the night. Won't you drive away this hurt? There's no truth inside the bar, there's only shallow waters, only ethanol and scars. I've been thinking I might leave this town and start again down south. Maybe move to Nashville, get a place all by myself, put my problems in a backpack, keep the bag behind the couch, For a while, I'll pretend I'm someone else. Found a quiet place to sit, started working through my shit. I quit drinking every night, I'm meditating, eating right. I read a book on how to cope. I think it's working, think there's hope. I think I'm different, I think I've changed. There's a hole that still remains, and the hole seems never ending. It's the only thing that's real, and the river drags me forward. I can't rest enough to heal. I remember I'm the water, I'm the driver, I'm the wheel, and them holes are not the only thing that's real.
Beautiful. Steve.
Oh, very
Wow.
nice. Steve. Woo!
Thanks, everyone.
Wow. This is nice.
So, Steve, let me just ask you, did I hear that line right? I quit drinking every night?
That's right.
That's a good line, brother.
Say that again?
That's a good line.
Thanks.
I quit drinking
Thanks.
every night. I think I could have said that for a whole decade of my life.
Like I said, the song's not about me, but we have a lot in common. In fact, just a couple days ago, I'm 2 years sober. So not as big of a deal for me as some, but it's a big thing for me. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Yeah. It's good to see you. We'll chat a little more detail when we come around another time. But let's hear it one more time for Steve Burke. Beautifully done.
Oh, hey. Woo!
All right, and now what do they call it? Repeat offender. Somebody who's been a guest at least once, maybe twice before. Somebody I love dearly, all the way from the great city of Somerville, Mass. Lynn's sister city over there. And this is Janet Fell. Let's make her feel good, please, everybody.
Woo! Great minute. Woo!
Just like with Steve, we'll talk a little bit more next time through. But why don't you just play something for us?
All right, well, I'm gonna, Don requested a song. I wrote this song with my best friend Esther Friedman, and we wrote it in the early 2000s. This is a song about my family, and specifically about my father and his whole immediate family survived the Holocaust, and my grandmother was instrumental in making sure that we survived, so that's what the song is about. I apologize to whoever follows me after this. Yeah, man, party, following a song about the Holocaust, woohoo, you know. But it means a lot to me to have Don request the song. When I wrote the song with Esther because we've written a bunch of songs together, but this is a song that, although I've written many songs by myself, it was just too big for me to write by myself, and it's a true story. This is called Rosalie's Diamonds. People say diamonds are a girl's best friend. If they only knew the story of the one on my hand. It traveled many miles across the sea, sewn inside a quilt by my grandma Rosalie. marched right in, made her trade her linen store for a star to sew on. They gave it to a couple who knew my family well. They paid her in diamonds and promised not to tell on Rosalie. While everyone was scared but hoping for the best, she took her hope in diamonds and bought tickets for the West. She made her plan so carefully to save the family, but evil made it nearly impossible for Rosalie. My grandpa Daniel was taken into custody. My uncle Freddie went to talk to the police. Freddie convinced them to set my grandpa free, gave himself as payment the firstborn son of Rosalie. Freddie went to Dachau, was beaten till he bled. Rosalie refused to leave her son for dead. She took the train to Berlin, diamonds hidden at her breast, marched into the offices of the SS. Rosalie. She spilled some diamonds on the desk and said, "I want my son." The officer promised her he'd see what could be done. She waved a ship ticket and a visa in his face to prove she could get Freddie out of this place. Rosalie, Rosalie. Back home, she and my grandpa walked worried through the streets, made a wish while passing on each side of a chimney sweep. Sometimes prayers are answered right away. They were greeted at the front door with the sight of Freddie's face. Rosalie. People say diamonds are a girl's best friend, and now you know the story of the one on my hand. It traveled many miles across the sea, just like my grandma who told all this to me. Rosalie, Rosalie.
Oh, Oh, wow, Janet, that was beautiful. Beautiful. Powerful.
Thanks, Janet.
That was
You know
so
what?
beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's an
Thank
epic
you.
tune, and
Yeah,
you know,
powerful.
so timely. You know, people just rolling into other countries and doing what they want. Let's not forget. The good people win in the end. How's that?
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you. There's a great song by Malvina Reynolds that Pete Seeger made popular called "God Bless the Grass," and all the imagery in the song is all about how uh, wait, I'm gonna boot up the lyrics, but the thing is that you can knock people down, but they always pop back up. Just like you can pave over a street as many times as you want in the sidewalk, but the grass always grows through. I'm just going to read the first verse. God bless the grass that grows through the crack. They roll the concrete over it to try to keep it back. The concrete gets tired of what it has to do. It breaks and it buckles, and the grass grows through. And God bless the grass.
Yeah.
And it goes on from there. That's just one of the most beautiful songs ever. And I think especially at a time like this when there's such a crisis going on, it really starts with, the Holocaust didn't start with gas chambers. It started with fear-mongering, and it started with people dehumanizing each other and not taking each other seriously. And it's easier to not care about the fate of someone if you don't think of them as a human being. And we should never underestimate how much of a difference our own actions make every single day in the ripple effect. I mean, if you think about the fact that, in 2001, this one guy walked onto an airplane with a shoe bomb in London. And since then, since 2001, we all have to take our shoes off before getting on the plane. And that's one guy, one act of one guy. And the thing is that because, with the news, news reports, if it bleeds, it leads, acts of kindness don't make it onto the news. But why wouldn't it? Just because we don't hear about it doesn't mean that they don't have a ripple effect. So like something as simple as a beautiful evening like this, where Don shares his work, and then, a couple of us, me and Steve, and incredible song, Steve. That was wonderful. Really great to hear you. Or things like, one of my sisters is on the other side of the aisle politically from me, and we have decades of experience with each other where we debate with respect and kindness. And, I always joke with her that we should start a podcast so we can say things like, "Don't vote like my sister." But it is possible to find common ground. And just my simple conversations with my sister, I think, well, if the two of us can do it, then, there's nothing special about us. Why can't others, So.
All right, Janet, I love you. One more time for Janet, please, everybody. All right.
Thanks, Janet.
Bravo.
All right. Tony Toledo, you're a professional. You can follow anything. Why don't you do a little something for us? It doesn't have to be weighty. It can be anything. But a short story. Tony, how's that sound?
All right. Let's see here. I've been thinking about things and looking at my storytelling career for 32 years. I've made my living as a storyteller. So I was able to go ahead. My brother, Bob, who's 8 years younger than me, just retired from the post office. And Bobby said that people at the post office, they would sneak off and suddenly somebody would say, what happened to Larry? And they would say, oh, Larry retired last month. And Bobby said, I'm not going to let that happen to me. And I said, what you mean? What happened? He goes, I told everybody this is going to be my last day at the post office. And people came up to him and they brought him donuts and they brought him pizza and they brought him submarine sandwiches. And one woman grabbed his leg and said, Bobby, you can't go. And Bobby was saying, I got to go. I'm out of the post office. And everybody was saying how much they loved him. My brother was at the dock at the Toledo post office, and they got probably 20 doors there, and he knew every single delivery driver that came in. And they would text him. It was way out of the description of his job. They'd say, you know, I'm 10 minutes away, and Bob would go ahead and text him back and say, okay, come in at gate number 7, and you can unload over there. So it would save them 20 minutes each time from stopping at the gate and coming in. And Bobby said that he was so happy when he said, you know, there's a lot of shitty stuff at the post office, but there's also a lot of good people that work over there too. And he enjoyed working with them for 33 years. And I thought to myself, you know, I'm slowing down with my storytelling because of the pandemic. I did little bits and pieces here and there. So I put a letter on Facebook saying, I'm going to retire on April 22nd. And the reason I picked that was because it was as close as Friday that I had free. I started on April 15th of 1990 to be a professional storyteller. Like there's no license you have to do. There's nothing you have to go through. You just hang your shingle out. And if the people like you, they'll hire you back. And if you're really good marketing and you suck at storytelling, then nobody's going to hire you back again. So you find out because you just starve in the corner and have to go work at UPS again or something. Mm-hmm. Well, I put this on Facebook and I had a gazillion friends of mine that went ahead and said, I can't believe you're going to retire. You got to, hey, good for you. All right. And a couple of my storytelling friends said, I can't believe it. I'm jealous of you. And I said, well, geez, my bills are pretty small, but I can go ahead and I can survive over here. I mean, I got this little house in Beverly. When I'm moving stuff around in it, I always wish it was a little bigger. When I'm painting it, I always wish it was a little smaller. So I think that's how everything in life is. And I look back at this, that I got to make my little storytelling career going over to elementary schools and going to libraries and going to birthday parties and Cub Scout meetings. Now, I think that it's a bit of marketing to always let people know you exist and you can hire me. But then there's also job security, because for me to get fired, every single library and school and teacher and PTO and principal would have to decide they're never going to hire me again. So if I put my foot in my mouth in one show, at least I can go ahead and, hopefully get hired at the other ones and keep on marching. So that I thought, well, I put out this little retirement thing. And it's funny because my girlfriend's got a thrift store in Georgetown and I enjoy going over to help her. And I mean, if somebody calls up and they say, can you do storytelling next Tuesday at this elementary school? Of course, I'm going to say yes. But it's the thing where kind of slowing down a little bit. And my one friend, Andy, is left the World Fellowship Center. He's stopped that from being the director for 22 years. And he said, and I'm going to work on being a professional storyteller now, that there's an opening down in Massachusetts, so that I'm going to step into that and I'm going to take over that spot you were holding on to. And I said, Andy, that sounds like a brilliant plan. Go for it. And I just got to say too, that Mr. White in 2008 decided that he put out an email saying he was going to have a spoken word open mic in Lynn, and he was looking for somebody to host it. He was traveling around nationally touring, so he couldn't do it himself. And before I could contact him and say, I think I'd be interested in that, he got a hold of me and said, Tony, I think you'd be good to be the host of this. You want to try it? And I said, okay, Don, I'll do it for a month. And a month turned into 7 years. And I got to tell you, there isn't anybody better to work with than Don White, because he can go ahead and tell me, Tony, if there's 17 people on the open mic, you don't need to have 4 minutes between each person. We want to get home before 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, that's a good point, Don. I got you. So, and also, the two of us just learning from Don about how to be an MC and how to do stuff. And we'd go out and have lunch. And it's the thing that, I think it's always just listening to people, and it's caring about the community. And I think that goes through this stuff here, Don. It goes through Speak Up, which is still going on, by the way, which is just a delight that, had anything to get to put in there together. So I think too that when you work with Don White and there's just a meeting between two people, you don't have to have a committee of 17 people and try to line it up. It's just Don and I. We grab a hold of that lunchtime. We go over there and sit down. And Don says, we're down a little bit on some of our attendance. I think we should have somebody from Lynn. And we didn't book out more than like 6 weeks. So we could have somebody from Lynn and they would bring in 10 extra people. And 3 of those people might start coming then. So that's just one of the things that Mr. White does. I had a friend of mine who had said, I don't want to drive all the way to Lynn. She lives here in Beverly. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, yeah, have that open mic here in Beverly. And I said, no, Don's got it in Lynn. I don't want to, I'm going to stay in Lynn. And when I told Don that my friend said, oh yeah, you move it up to Beverly. And he just laughed and said, Tony, you don't shine your flashlight at the sun. You shine your flashlight where it needs to have light. And hence,
Beverly's not enough light.
You'll go and live.
Thanks, Tony. I love you, man. All right.
I love you.
Tony was the best host ever. He was good to everybody. He would write down little notes with your story and your poem, and he would read them back to you and ask questions. You always felt like you were respected. So I have to say to Tommy and Marlene, just before like 2 or 3 festivals before you guys, I had to learn how to perform for children. Not only had I never done it, but I was terrified at the proposition. I would rather perform for a room full of Hell's Angels than a room full of 4th graders. I felt like I understood them, at least, And then between Tony and Janet, they helped me tremendously. Janet's a great performer for children as well. And so songs that really worked, and Tony gave me some great stories and all that. So here we go. It's all coming together here on my screen. All right, so we don't want people out of here too much past 9:30 because, you have to get your rest in the end times. All right, so Steve Burke, you got a CD out, something new, or?
Yeah, I came out with my first original album last year. It's called Southwestern Sky, and like I mentioned before, I'm mostly an instrumentalist. I'm not much of a singer, so that whole album is instrumental, kind of in a jazz, bluegrass crossover kind of world, if that makes sense to anyone. But that's what it is.
All right, well, so that's information is in the chat if you want to pick up Steve's CD while there's still some CD players left in the world. All right, you're part of my family, basically, Steve. All through Speak Up too, I guess. Steve performed when he was just a young man at Speak Up. So why don't you play us another tune and we'll move this thing along. Let's move it along.
Sure, move it along. But I do want to say one thing because Tony Toledo's here. What's up, Tony? And because of that Speak Up that Don and Tony worked so hard to put together, I mean, that's why I started writing. It really formed a big interest for me in writing and songwriting. But throughout my whole life, I mean, for the last 10 years, I've just never stopped writing. I keep a journal. I write short stories, I write poems, and so much of it is because of that time when I was 18 and 19, and there were so many exciting things happening in Lynn, all because of Don White. Don White is the glue for that whole community. And because I was coming up and kind of figuring it all out, I was at Berkeley doing jazz, but really interested in songwriting and this other folk thing that Don had turned me on to. It was a really important time. So I'll keep it moving, but thank you, Don, and thank you, Tony.
You're welcome, Steve. You're the best, man. Thanks.
So this next song is called In the Morning. And it's about my mom, but it's about loss in general and kind of the cyclical nature of life and loss, and how it's 2 sides of the same coin, and sometimes poetically it seems to come full circle. Sandy shores in the blue light of morn, where my heart lies awake, where my promise was sworn. It's goodbye to the future, fare thee well and so long, from your hollow hello I knew you were gone in the morning. Well, hold me like you'd never let me go, and whisper like you'd whispered long ago. Well, it's forever in the morning, in the morning. Well, at the end of the line, when it comes to a head, when it all crashes down, and you know that it's dead, you lay down and look up, and you take it all in. It's the death of your love. It's where it begins in the morning. Well, hold me like you'd never let me go, and whisper like you'd whispered long ago. Well, it's forever, we're forever in the morning, in the morning. Well, hold me like you'd never let me go, and whisper like you'd whispered long ago. Well, it's forever, we're forever in the morning, in the morning.
Awesome.
Nice.
Very nice, Steve. Woo!
Yeah, that was great, Steve. Good job. All right,
Thanks,
so
Don.
let's move it along, and we'll come to try to make like a lightning round here. But thanks a lot, Steve. We'll go around one more time. Okay, you'll hang out. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jacqueline, after Janet plays, if you're still with us, we'll get you to read another poem before we go around one more time. So Janet, briefly, you got any product out there that you want to push, or any gigs or anything, or?
If you go, all my albums, but including my latest one called Messy Beauty is available on wherever fine albums are sold.
All right, that information is in the chat. Why don't you give us a tune, Janet?
All right. Well, I thought, I'd follow. I want to sing a song that I wrote with my friend Lisa Ashman right after 9/11. And I feel like it's been appropriate these days. This is called How Can I Let Go of My Fear? If I say my prayers, have a bulletproof vest, guards at the gate, and I know karate. If I eat good food and I'm big and strong, have a fast boat and a life jacket on. If I know how to swim, keep my head down, hands in my pockets and my legs crossed. If I know who to call, if I know protocol, if I got a trust fund and I go to college. Oh, 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 but I'm still scared. Oh, 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 can I find safety anywhere? How can I let go of my fear? How can I accept that I might lose what I hold dear? Even if I could lose my life, how can I believe I'll be alright when there's no safety here? How can I let go of my fear? If I brush and floss, if there's lots of police, if I get good grades, take antibiotics, If I have a good job and money in the bank, if I wash my hands, have a big tank. If I wear a seatbelt, drive a Volvo, got a cell phone and I don't smoke. If I own a pit bull, if I don't get mad, if I know where to hide and I've got a witness. Oh, 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 but I'm still scared. Oh, 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 can I find safety anywhere? How can I let go of my fear? How can I accept that I might lose what I hold dear? Even if I could lose my life, how can I believe they'll be alright when there's no safety here? How can I let go of my fear? My faith makes me free. I trust when I leap, the net will appear. When I let go of my fear, when I accept that I might lose what I hold dear, even if I could lose my life, I can still believe I'll be alright with what is now and what is here. When I let go of my fear, when I let go of my fear.
Beautiful, man.
Oh, thank you, Janet. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was great, man. Thanks. All right. That was really good. You're in the zone tonight, Janet.
Thanks.
All right. Jacqueline, are you still with us here, Jacqueline?
I am here. I'm going to read a poem that I didn't write
Okay.
because this was posted, somebody posted this on Facebook today with everything, that's going on. So it's a poem by Wendell Berry. It's called The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water and I feel above me the day blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh, man.
Yeah, I saw it today and it's just like, it's a beautiful poem and
Yeah.
it's a reminder that
need
we
to
can
do
find
that.
peace,
I need to go walk in my woods tomorrow.
Yeah, of course it's a snowstorm, but
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's even better. All right. All
yeah,
right.
that's it. I wanted to share
You
that.
brought wonderful energy to this tonight, and I'm really glad you're here. Don't be a stranger. Anytime you want, just come by. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to do these. Maybe I don't know. I'm definitely going to do it next week because it's my birthday. After that, maybe through March or something. But this thing has a time limit on it. It's not. It's got an expiration date on it for sure. But I really appreciate you very much. So one more time for Jacqueline Stark, please.
Thank you.
All right. Because the most important, the cornerstone of our Thursday is Sarah, and she's gonna be out of here 9:30 East Coast time. So we're gonna rock, like on your mark, get set, go Steve Burke, go. This is the lightning round. And thank you for the kind words, Steve. You're a good fellow, and I've unleashed a lot of voices on the world. And you know what? When one thing tyrants hate is people who know how to express themselves. So very quietly in my own life, I've been radically empowering voices, and that's my contribution to the other side of what the hell's going on in this world.
Okay, cool. So here's another new song that I wrote. This one is called When We Were Young. Well, you remind me of the times when we were young, when all I saw was who I might become. Now you tell me that there's something that's left undone. You remind me of the times when we were young, when this city starts to lose its summer charm, when the fall comes sweeping in to clean the gutters of us all. And I think again of walking from your dorm at the break of dawn. You remind me of the times when we were young. Now you're married with a home outside of town, with a man, a kid, a job, a house, they keep you on the ground. And it's almost like we're different, like our songs have all been sung. You remind me of the times when we were young. You remind me of the times when we were young, when all I saw was who I might become. Now you tell me that there's something that's left undone. You remind me of the times when we were young. But I once knew a girl who would leave it all behind, who would take a chance at living even when the price was high. Now that bitter bite from leaving is the cost of coming down, but we'll get another chance next time around. Will you remind me of the times when we were young, when all I saw was who I might become. Now you tell me that there's something that's left undone. You remind me of the times when we were young.
Beautiful. Nice.
Woo! Love it.
Nice.
Woo!
Wow, that's a good batch of new songs there, Steve. I gotta tell you, nicely done.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, so don't be a stranger. Pop in next couple Thursday. Next Thursday, we're sort of celebrating me turning 65. So you know, want to look at your face if you're around. All right. So that's one more time for Steve Burke, please, everybody.
Thank you.
Woo!
All right, Shannon, on your mark, get set, play.
Little man in his car seat, talking up a blue street. Mile after mile, we tune him out. Suddenly it's quiet, but that's not his style. We turn around to see what it's about. When in a voice not quite his own, he said, "You know, this is all just a dream." We asked, "What do you mean?" He said, "This life talking up a blue streak. His mom and I are speechless for a while. I said I've been searching for truth in those books and gurus, but it's come to us in our child. And in a voice not quite his own, he said, you know, this is all just a dream. We asked, what do you mean? He said, this life is part of God's dream, and when we die it will be over, it will be again. And when we die we will awaken, and we'll be
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, so nice, Janet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Nicely done, Janet. So I feel better. You guys are, I sort of come into these things promising to take care of people, but I really need to be taking care of myself. So, it's not just shooting one way. It's not just shooting from this computer out. It's coming back too. So, thanks a lot, everybody. Remember, defend your joy. Defend your joy. You remember what you're fighting for is your happiness, and that doesn't mean be naive. If you have to fight, but remember what you're fighting for. So I'm gonna sing you to sleep, sing everybody to sleep that's afraid of the dark tonight, and there's a bunch of folks that I think that fall in this category. Next week, the Bull Run in Shirley, Mass. for an in-person show. Dawn celebrating his 65th birthday, and then Passim the next day, a Sunday in the afternoon, 1 o'clock matinee for the old folks, and that one's going to be streamed, so you can tune in from there. And then on Thursday, I think I'll invite some folks and see if anybody wants to hang out with me on my birthday week, I guess, right? All right. I didn't practice this, I just thought of it, so it's only 2 chords, but I never can quite play it right, so. Hey, a little troop, it's time for your day to end. So take your big box of troubles and tuck them under your bed. I know how you feel when it gets dark outside, but I promise in the morning the sun is going to rise and shine. You don't have to be afraid when the sun goes down at night, 'cause that doesn't mean that the sun is never going to rise. When it gets dark, it can get a little scary too, but tomorrow that sun is going to rise in the sky just to shine on you. The sun is gonna rise just to shine on you, because he wants to shine the light on all the nice things you do. Close your eyes, believe me, this is true. Tomorrow that sun is going to rise in the sky just to shine on you. Take a look at me, I am as old can be. And these old tired eyes have seen a whole lot of scary things. They have seen real dark nights that lasted for a long time. But they have never seen the morning when the sun didn't rise and shine. And that's why I'm saying, hey little trooper, it's time for your day to end. Take your big box of troubles and tuck them under your bed. I know how you feel when it gets dark outside, but I promise in the morning the sun is going to rise and shine. Sun is gonna rise just to shine on you, 'cause he wants to shine the light on all the nice things you do. Close your eyes, believe me, this is true. Tomorrow that sun is going to rise in the sky just to shine on you. Tomorrow that sun is going to rise in the sky just to shine on you. Take care of yourself, everybody.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Amazing.
Thanks so much, Don.
Thanks,
Well,
God. Thank you.
Thank you to Janet and to Jacqueline and to Steve and Tony Toledo and everybody that comes every week. And we'll see you next week. Be good to yourselves. You know, start there and then spread it out from there.
Hey, Don, I want to put the word out for some of my friends back in Ohio who loved you when you did that online concert for us a year ago to come in next week. Is there anything special that they need for Thursdays? They just click on?
They just need the same Zoom thing that you use.
Yep, I'll share it with them. And so if you see some strange names, though, you got some other fans that might be coming in, I'm going to spread the word out and say, hey, it's a birthday party. Come see.
Yeah, all right, sure. There'll be free
Cool.
cake. There'll be free cake here. I don't know.
I hear. Great.
It's like this. I hear to this little square and that little square and that little square, little piece of cake. All right. So you all be good and pay attention. Don't stick your head in the sand. But shut that shit off and we'll do like Jacqueline said. Go where the ducks hang out.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll see where it lands. We'll see where it lands. All right. Much.